What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. This is Hawk Talk on Melrose following Iowa's 20-13 game against Purdue yesterday. Another close game, but I think that is the way it's going to go the rest of the year. What's going on, Tyler? How are you doing this Sunday morning?
Doing all right, Collin. Yeah, I agree with you. I think we're gonna see this theme continue on most Sundays. I think when we're reacting to the games on Saturday, I think they're going to be a lot closer and a lot very similar to maybe what we saw yesterday going forward.
So I don't know if I can believe this more. Can you believe that we are halfway through the season already?
Yeah.
6 games. Like, I did not realize that until I was looking at the schedule. I was like, oh my God, like we have finished through 6 games. We only have 6 games left. That or that we are 5-1 because we sure do not feel like a 5-1 team. I will take it. I'm not complaining, but we do not feel like a 5-1 team. It kind of feels like 2021 when we went 10-2. That
Yep.
game or that team almost felt like more of like a 7-5 season, but I'm not complaining. But it is
Yep.
amazing how we are 5-1.
Couldn't agree anymore. I was gonna say you think back to that season and it feels very similar. Feels like offensively, obviously not good at all, but we're winning the games. And like you said, it could be worse. We could be losing these games. So you got to be positive where you can try to be, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. Let's start with the offense, and then we'll go to the defensive special teams. Offensively, I, I mean, I guess it's you could have probably drew up exactly how we expected it to be. I would say the one positive from yesterday was definitely the run game. We got 181 yards. I mean, that's something where, like, if we can do that, like, it's big time. Probably the only
Yeah.
reason why we ended up winning that game was because we did get the run game going. Granted, a lot of those yards came from Caleb's run, but it almost felt like when Caleb scored there, and then was it the next possession or maybe the possession after, we got that interception where we got to the 5 yard line, we kicked the field goal. It almost felt like at that point in time, like we had total control of this game. It never really felt like Purdue was going to like come back and win. And so that touchdown was huge. But first game for Deacon. What did I say on the last episode? I said, I don't really want to look at just some Michigan State game because you go in, you have no worry. It's just all sudden. He goes in this game. You have a week to kind of prepare. You have a week to think about things. It's going to be a little bit more pressure. And I had a feeling like that's maybe probably what happened, where he didn't look as good as like he did against Michigan State. And sure enough, 6 for 21. I know you sent me that last night in a text. 6 for 21. 5 of those catches were from Eric All, who is continuing to just up his draft stock. And then the other
Yeah.
reception was our running back. So another game where no receivers catch a ball.
I know it's weird. Like, and I saw it's like the first time Kirk's ever won a game with a receiver not catching a ball. So I guess that's a positive, right?
I'm honestly surprised by that. I thought
I
there'd
am
be
too.
more games where like we would have no receivers catch a ball.
Which is sad to say, but I
Yeah.
totally I totally agree with you. I actually was kind of shocked by that when I heard it, or when I saw it on Twitter today. Um, what's funny, and we talked about this after the Michigan State game. I think when we were doing the reaction podcast, you even mentioned, you're like, maybe Deacon Hill likes throwing to the receivers. We actually got
Yeah.
them involved, and it's not like we didn't target them. Obviously, we did yesterday, but it clearly was very ineffective. We couldn't get anything going in the passing
No.
game, and really, like you said, it came down to Eric All's big catch that led to a lot of yards, and then obviously the touchdown, where, I mean, great play design there, and that play was actually really well executed.
It was
That Besides that, though, yeah, obviously 6 of 21 could
not
not
great.
get anything going. No.
And there were some drops, but even that, like, even if you caught those drops, he would have finished like 8 or 9, which is still
Right.
not good. I don't want to draw conclusions yet on Deacon.
No.
I think people forget that, okay, he didn't play all of last year. He didn't play all of 2021. His senior year of high school in 2020 was the COVID year. They only played 3 games that year. So it's been a while since he's started a game. And so you can't And I thought he looked better in the second half. So you can't draw conclusions just yet.
Well, he only
Now,
had 28 yards going into half. So, yes, he definitely played a lot
lot
better
better. Yeah.
going
He
into the
definitely
second half.
calmed down.
Yeah.
I think with him, though, and we talked about this on either the last podcast or the one right after the Michigan State game, is his accuracy is clearly not very good. He has the arm. His accuracy just isn't very good. He doesn't really have any touch on the ball. And that is something where, like, I don't know if that's ever going to come. I just feel like that's just who he is.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll improve a little bit, but I want to see a couple more games before I start. Everyone like I was listening to Sound Off on the way back. Like everyone's like, why are we not giving it to Joe Labus? And it's like kind of like Kirk said after the game, like you don't just do that. Like you give the guy some time. Now, let's say the Wisconsin game looks bad. Let's say you give him maybe one more with Minnesota. Then at that point, we get into the bye week. Then that's when you make the exact decision. Okay, let's maybe go to Labus. But you don't just do that first half of a guy starting.
My thing is, you can make the argument Joey Levis wouldn't have played any better given the circumstances yesterday. I know he has maybe a little bit more experience.
Yeah.
But to be thrown in there in that situation and like he doesn't have the reps, like clearly Deacon doesn't, Joey doesn't either. How much better would it have looked if Joey was in there? You don't, like you said, you don't make a quarterback change, especially when really we've been leading the entire game. And you just throw out all confidence at that point with Deacon Hill if you go that early to a quarterback switch.
Yeah, think about the confidence for Deacon if you just do that. Like that's just it's
Or
not
any quarterback, like for that matter. Like Joey wouldn't feel any better if he got in. Like as soon as he does bad, what they're going back to Deacon, or it's like no, you don't go that route.
So with obviously the passing game being an issue, I think this is the biggest issue for Iowa for the offense. So yesterday we finished 3 for 12 on third down, which is not good at all. Our third down average distance was 7.6. When you talk about an offense that's already like limited and struggling, when you're like 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, like we're not going to get the first down. And you made the point yesterday. There was a possession in there where it was like 3rd and 9, and we got lucky. There's like a bailout call, almost like a hands to the face or something. And you're like, God, I bet the Purdue coach is so mad because he figured, all right, we're going to get the ball back because there's no way they're going to convert this 3rd and 9. We got lucky there, but that's a problem. And
yeah,
I want you to guess just in Big Ten. I'm not talking the non-conference games. What our third down is,
like percentage or like
not
yards
well
to go.
Yeah, no, like we're 3 for 12 this last
Okay.
game. Like the entire thing for how many Big Ten games have we played? 3. Yeah, 3. Just take a guess.
I don't eat these. 9 for 40. I don't know.
6 for 35. 20%.
So,
That like it's so 6 for 35 on third down. And then we wonder why the time of possession is always favored with the other team. We wonder why, we'd be big on our defense sometimes. It's like, well, they're out there for freaking every single, like the entire game, it seems like. So we can't maintain drives. 6 for 35. That is so bad.
And I wrote this down too, and this kind of goes along with it. So we had 5 3-and-outs in the game. So I'll just read through what I wrote down real quick. So I'm going to go in order of the possessions. I'm going to go by each possession. It'll take, 30 seconds. So 3-and-out, -1 yards, punt. That's to start the game. Then we had 2 plays. Caleb Johnson touchdown.
Can I pause you for 1 second there?
Yeah.
That first,
go ahead.
Why are we electing to receive with this offense? Especially when we do something like that, where you just said like a 3-and-out -1 yard. All right, continue.
The first play went Caleb Johnson run -1 yard and then 2 incompletions and punt. And it's like,
why?
100%. Why we do it, I have no idea. Okay, Caleb Johnson, 2 plays, touchdown. Then we had the interception, which I still don't think is Deacon's fault. Like I went back and looked at it, and like that was a catchable ball from Seth Anderson. But of course, unlucky bounce, turnover. Then we have 3 plays, 5 yards, punt. Then we had a field goal. Then we had 3 plays, 2 yards, punt. Then we had a missed field goal. Then it's halftime. Then we came out with a field goal. Then we had 3 plays, 6 yards, punt. Then we had the touchdown. Then we had 3 plays, 1 yard, punt.
Yeah.
Then we had a missed field goal. Then we had 3 plays, 7 yards, punt. Game over. So like, it just goes to show you on the plays where we're punting, we're going 3 and out every time. We are like you just
and it's like
not
so
converting
fast.
many third downs. Yeah, it's I don't even know. -1 yard, 5 yards, 2 yards, 1 yard, 7 yards, 6 yards. It's not even close. Like we're not getting into that position where like we even really gives ourselves a chance to go for it, except which we'll talk about it towards the end of the game where maybe you felt like just the lack of aggression from Iowa, we had a chance to either punt it away or go for it. And of course we don't and give them a chance to win. So
yeah, we're going to talk about the end of the game here soon. I thought like
just going over that. It's
it's so pathetic.
Yeah.
And it seems like it happens more games than not.
Mm-hmm.
End of the second quarter when that blocked field goal, like I looked to you in the stands and I said, because it was kind of windy at that time. Now the wind died down as the game went on, but it was kind of windy at that time. And it was like one of those things where it's like, okay, we have a yard or 2 to go, either just go for it or just pin them deep, because this is a kind of a low or high risk field goal because like, yes, Drew Stevens is really good, but once again, the wind circling, it's kind of a long field goal. Like, let's just not give them the ball at that either go for it or just pin them deep. And of course we kick the field goal, gets blocked, and then it leads to a touchdown to end. I mean, really essentially like you take away that touchdown that they had, like, and then I know they had the touchdown at the end of the game where it seems like that always happens with Iowa's defense. We just let them play ahead of us and it's just like boom, 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 boom. They score. But I thought for the most part, Brian called a good game outside of the end of the game where it's like so obvious what we're doing. And then like those drives where I think it was the interception by Cooper DeJean where we got the 5-yard line. What are we doing? Yep. And then the other one where Eric Gall had that nice catch and we were at the 5-yard line. Both of those drives, you got to score touchdowns. You want to beat Wisconsin next week? If we get in those positions, you have to score touchdowns. You can't kick field goals. So it's like, what are we doing?
And we don't get down there very often. That's the problem. Like when we do, then we don't convert. And so you cannot settle for 3 points that many times. You just can't.
I don't know if you realize, but on that first one, when Cooper DeJean intercepted it, we got the 5-yard line. Did you know that first down play was a throw to Mason Richmond, offensive tackle?
I said he was. I was looking at your mom because your mom was like, "What happened? I'm so confused." And I'm like trying to explain it a little bit. I'm just like, that's an offensive lineman that was eligible as like a tight end, and we were throwing like a fake one way and then throw back to him the other way. Yeah.
Yeah. I get the creativity, but it's like, what are we doing? Like, let's just, we're already so bad on offense. Why are we doing that?
Why are we throwing to an offensive lineman?
Especially did you realize that Mason Richmond was literally on the injury report as questionable going into the game? So there was a chance that he wasn't even going to play.
Yeah.
And then yet we're doing plays to him, to an offensive tackle.
Here's my thing. We can't get a catch to a wide receiver. Why are we throwing to an offensive lineman?
Yeah, I don't get it. It makes zero sense. And then on that same possession when it was 3rd and 18, I don't mind the run call because it's like
at that point.
Yeah. But this is my problem with it though. We burn a timeout to do the same to do the same thing that we were going to do anyways. That's when it's like, what are we doing?
That's coaching, and that's it. Yeah. Yep.
And then at the end of the game, like when we needed a yard and we do the run up the middle, gonna get stuffed. Why are we not QB sneaking with a quarterback who is 6'3", 260 pounds?
I think 70,000 people in the stands knew what to do there. And I think Brian, I don't know if it's just his ego and he's just like, I'm going to do something different. And I'm going to make it 10 times harder than it needs to be. And we do the most predictable just dumb thing that, like you said, if you just fall forward with your 6'3", 260-pound quarterback, you get a yard and a half, and you get the first down
and you get the first down. Yep.
I don't get it.
It makes zero sense. Special teams yesterday. Let's just go to special teams for a second. Not very good. 2 missed field goals. You just don't see that often with Iowa. One was a block, and the other one was just a miss, which I think that one came right after the drive that the Purdue player got hurt, and we got it like at, in plus territory, and we were pretty much already in field goal range. And of course, we probably get a 3 and out, and then we kick a field goal, he misses. And I think that was that same drive where we called a timeout, and we still got to delay a game after the timeout, which backed us up 5 yards, which was critical for that field goal.
It was. It just ended up being
stupid things.
Yeah. Yep. I do. Yeah, that was insane. We're like, how do we call a timeout and then we still have a delay of game? And we're still kicking a field goal.
And I know we won, but you make that field goal, it's 23-7. I know they scored, but even it would have been for sure game over, right? Yeah. But if he misses, and the delay of game, stupid. So that needs to get better. All I'm saying is this, and I already saw we're 7.5 point underdogs against Wisconsin. I was actually kind of surprised by that. I thought maybe we'd be like 9.5, 10. But you can't go into Madison and miss field goals. You can't go into Madison and get into red zone and not convert to touchdowns. And you can't go into Madison and go 6 for 21 and have no touch on your ball and throwing it 15 yards above your wide receivers. You just can't let that happen. You let that if that happens, we have no chance.
Well, and that's exactly why when you have such a bad offense that you need both special teams and defense to play lights out. You have to give yourself any chance. And that's why it makes it so incredibly difficult, because they're not always going to they're not always going to be perfect, right? We're going to miss a field goal here like once in a while. It just happens. The defense is going to give up a touchdown late. It happens. Like, they're not going to be perfect for the entirety of the game. So your offense, like, you have to help them out somewhat, some way. And we continue to just shoot ourselves in the foot, and we make it so hard that, like, that's why these games that, like you said, it should be 23-7. It ends up being a 6-point game because we punt, give it to them back, and then there they go. Like, I don't know. It's
like the fact that they even had like a drive at the end of the game. They had 2 minutes to, like, the fact that we were even in that position where, like, if they scored, they win. Like, that should not have been, like, we were in complete control of that game. We should not even been that close. And that's what annoys the hell out of me. Someone on Sound Off last night asked them, the guys I host, like, asked them a question. They were like, would you right now take, because obviously Petrus is still part of the team. Would you take Petrus? Like, if he was like, I'm going to start suiting up, would you take him right now? And, like, it was kind of a good question, because, like, Petrus is, I mean, if you talk Beacon Hill, Levis, like, I would maybe take Petrus right now, since we have really no other option. I mean, like, I know he wasn't very good, but, like, clearly these last couple of years bagging on him, it wasn't really all his fault. And so it was kind of just like an interesting question that they asked them.
Well, for the experience alone, I would say yes, probably, like 100%.
I probably would too. I mean, we're at the point, and it's just how funny how, like, it's kind of came all full kind of full circle. But yeah, I just thought that was, I wrote that down because I was like, I didn't really even think about that. He is on the sideline now, and the guy just said,
even is he eligible to do that?
No, he's not. I don't even know what, but it's like someone made a good point that, like, it maybe would have been a good thing if, like, he decided to come back for another year and obviously just be a backup to Cade, and, just go through spring ball, go through fall camp, being the backup. And then, like, if something happened to Cade, you at least have a guy that's not very good, but like you said, someone with the experience and stuff. And I would almost take that right now. I really would.
Yep.
You can't 100%. Tell me if he played yesterday, like, anything would have been, like, it would have been about the same,
There, it doesn't get worse than 6 of 21. It really doesn't. So
no. Defensively, I thought it was just another game where, like, defense, like, it wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. Like, it was a good game. It's been that way this entire year. Hasn't been elite, but it's been good. 6 sacks, which was big going into the game. We were
Oh
like
yeah,
one of the last
100%.
teams in the country in sacks.
Yeah.
So seeing 6 sacks was big time. There were still a couple plays where like they had all the time in the world in the pocket, which is very frustrating. But for the most part, we disrupt Hudson Card. He got laid out a few times. He was taking a beating towards the end there.
You could tell he was feeling it at the end. He got up after 1 sack and he didn't look like himself for sure.
No, he didn't. Jay Higgins, stud again, had an interception, 12 tackles. Dude's just a beast. And then we talk about like the third down average for us. Their third down average was 7.8, which was worse than ours. So that's good defensively when you're talking defense. So overall, a solid game.
A couple turnovers, and then I saw also 12 tackles for loss, which is insane.
Yeah. So if this defense, if they play like they did next week against Wisconsin, like we have a shot.
Yep.
It all obviously depends on the offensive special teams, but I don't know. I keep saying with this defense, I know everyone likes to kind of bag on them a little bit, and it's not as good as last year. I don't think that like last year's defense was, I wouldn't say like once in a lifetime, but like it's really hard to even get close to where we were at last year. But this is a solid defense. Like there's no other way to put it. Another game where we've given up less than 400 yards. I saw a stat there David Eichel had. It's been like, I forgot how long it's been where like under 400 yards. And I don't know. It's hard to even want to like be negative about the defense. I thought they played good yesterday, and Purdue's offense. I mean, at the end of the day, like if you're going to compare Purdue's offense, Purdue's defense, Purdue's offense is way better than their defense. So going into the game, I thought they were going to put up some points and put up some yards. So I thought they did just fine.
100%. For as much as they're out there, man, it's going to happen. It's just going to happen, and especially when the defense, like you said, isn't as elite as they were last year. But man, they're still very, very good. And to hold Purdue to 14 points, I mean, you hold any team to 14 points, you should be winning the game. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So, like you said, if they play as well as they did and they clean the special teams up, you give yourself a shot against Wisconsin. Does the offense show up? Do they do anything better than what we did last week? That'll be the question.
Yep. And then this one last thing I just want to talk about, and might turn off some people a little bit, but we brought it up on the last episode, but I was like, just after the game yesterday, just thinking to myself, and we recorded on Wednesday, so we didn't see the new Big Ten schedules come out on Thursday that time yet. But I like to think just the present, but when you think about the future and you sit here, and it's just like every year, man, like it's the same thing with this team. It's just like, when is enough is enough. And I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm talking about the offense.
Okay.
I'm sorry. You sit here right now. Yes, we're getting it done against. I mean, we started off this episode saying, how in the hell are we 5-1? How are we? Well, it's because the teams that we play are not that great. But you look at next year, and you look at the years to come. I'm just going to give you next year's schedule.
Yeah.
Nebraska, Northwestern, Washington, Wisconsin. Those are the home games. Away games: Maryland, Michigan State, Minnesota, Ohio State, UCLA. This offense that we are running, we are going to be left in the dust with this new Big Ten if we do not change things. It ain't going to cut it. It just isn't. Especially with the new schedule. 2025, I'm not going to go through every year, but 2025, Indiana, Michigan State, Minnesota, Oregon, Penn State, Nebraska, Rutgers, USC, Wisconsin. Pretty tough. And that doesn't even include like Iowa State non-conference, right? Where like they're always going to be decent. So when is enough is enough? When is it? It's just, and we keep, someone at our tailgate had the Fire Brian sign yesterday. And it's like, it's not Brian Ferentz. I hate when people say fire Brian. It's not Brian. He's just, yes, his play calling is not great at times, but it's not his offense. It's Kirk's. I don't know when people like do not realize that. So if you want Brian gone, you're gonna need Kirk gone. If you want a new offense, if you want something to change, you're gonna need the head guy gone, unless he's like is willing to change. But at this point, it's probably not gonna happen. And I don't know, man. I just like I said, I like to look to the future a little bit, and I'm a little worried that if nothing changes, we are going to be left in the dust in the new Big Ten because this offense we're not going to compete against some of those teams that we face. I don't care how good our defense, how good our special teams is. The system is outdated. The scheme is outdated. It just needs to be thrown in the dumpster, and we just need to start new. And for me, like, I love Kirk. I keep saying it, but at some point some point he's going to retire or be done. So at some point we're going to have to make a move anyways. And every
why
team
not? So you're saying why not doing it when it's already really bad? Why wait till it gets to the point where it feels almost too late in a way?
Yeah, I'm to the point where it's like I looked at, like, if Kirk stays and like he's unwilling to change, it's like it's not going to get any better. This offense just yesterday.
We're going to face a lot more teams like, quote unquote, Penn State, these harder teams, aka Oregon, Washington, UCLA, USC, these new teams that are coming from the Pac-12 that are elite on offense. And you're going to see a lot more 33-0 type of games.
Yep.
You really will. You're exactly right.
It's so embarrassing. I watch a lot of football and like on TV and stuff, and I never see teams on defense do what they do against Iowa. It's so embarrassing.
Yep.
And they always use the word like on sound off, for example. I know they didn't say it last night, but they say it sometimes, like in the past. Albert Einstein's definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. What did Brian Ferentz say back in the spring? We're going to do the same thing. We're just going to do them better. Oh, really? It's every single year. They are so stuck in what they want to do. They are unwilling to do things. And that's when it's like, I like to, like I said, look to the future. And it's like, I'm sorry, but this isn't going to cut in the new Big Ten. It's great now. We're 5-1. And, I will take wins over, at the end of the day, like a win's a win, right? Like I like that all, but it's like, it ain't going to cut it when you're playing better teams come next year.
Nope. You're exactly right, Collin. I felt I felt that even more so walking out of yesterday's game. I really did, because I just read off the possessions, right? I wrote it all down. You're not doing jack shit against Oregon. If that was it, if Oregon was the opponent yesterday, what's the final score of that game?
Yeah, we get
30-3. Like seriously, it's going to be like that. And you just wonder. I mean, you're exactly right. And the other thing that I'll piggyback off of what you were saying, the other thing about really it's Kirk Ferentz is just his overall like philosophy of being ultra conservative. I can't freaking stand it, dude.
Yeah.
Our lack of aggression on the offensive side is pathetic. And I'm sorry, we just mentioned it. There was no way in hell Purdue should have had a chance to win that game at the end. What do? Ultra conservative, run the ball up the middle, -2 yards, have to punt, and give them the ball back with 2 minutes and a chance to win the game.
Yep.
If they would have done that, dude, today would have been...
Oh, it would have been terrible.
But again, you're exactly right. We get away with it. We win. A win's a win, right? But it still feels like it just feels like a loss in a way.
Yep.
It just doesn't feel good.
Yep. And it's not fun. Like
it's not
fun football. And like at the end of the day, like football is entertainment. Yep. And I get like I said, I will take wins any day. Like it's awesome. But I don't know. Like I guess in my job profession and stuff like that, you got to look to the future and things like that. And so like with football, like you got to look to the future a little bit. You got to see like what's coming. And you just know that like if this is just not going to cut it in the new Big Ten, and we will be left in the dust if we continue with this scheme, if we continue with this system. It has to change. And like I said,
if Kirk's not, like you said, if Kirk's not willing to just be like, here's this new guy that I'm bringing in, I'm giving him complete control.
Yep.
Then I agree with you. Then it's like, dude, it's going to be time. Like it needs to be time to go. I hate saying it too, because I love him. I love him to death. I love how he loves his players. I love how his players love him. All that shit. But you're exactly right. This is a new day. This is a new era of college football that we're moving into. And you're exactly right. We're going to be the bottom of the barrel real quick, because it's about to get way harder.
Yeah. And I just think that like it's going to happen eventually where Kirk retires or just
Yeah.
hangs it up. And, everyone sits here and says, oh, you never know. But it's like every team goes through this. Like every team's gonna get a new
Yep.
coach. Like you're not gonna have Kirk forever. Like
As
Kirk
you
is not
said,
gonna
like
be the coach forever.
we've been fortunate enough to have him for a really
Yes.
long time. Not everyone can say that, and so I respect that. I do. But you're exactly right. Eventually, it'll come to an end. It always
Yeah.
does.
And and yeah, just like any other program, when you hire a new coach, you take the risk of it's not gonna be great, or you take that risk, or you take the risk of like it might be
Yep.
worse but you never know. And with I trust the leadership. I trust that like they would bring in somebody or someone on staff. And like I said, I would be okay if it was LeVar Woods. I would be okay if it was someone on staff, because I really think that any other coach on the staff would instantly change what we're doing on offense. I really think it's Kirk, and like it's
They
just
would bring in someone that is offensively
yep.
minded to help
And
them
that's
out.
and that's
Yes,
another thing. Like
yes.
just think Kirk and Brian, like it's just like, will you guys just admit that you guys just do not know how to run an offense? Like, can you just admit that like we got to bring someone else from outside the program in to help, because it's clearly not right.
I think, and there was like a quote yesterday. It was like the media is talking about like Deacon Hill, and Kirk was like, well, obviously, I don't know anything about the quarterback position, but obviously, I don't think we helped him out. But like something like that, and it just goes back to me. It just rubs me the wrong way. It's like, then find somebody that knows what the hell they're doing.
Yep.
Right? Is it? I mean, what are we doing? What are we doing? We have an offensive line coach calling plays and being our quarterbacks coach.
Exactly.
Starts there, but you're exactly right. It doesn't end there. Kirk is very culpable in all this because it's his offense. You're exactly right.
And this is how much I like Kirk, that if Kirk at the end of the year did come out and did say, where Brian's is going to stay on staff, but he's going to be like an analyst, or he's going to be a position coach, we're bringing in somebody else on offense and we're changing things up, then I would be like, I want Kirk to stay then. And I said that's on the last episode too. Like I am not like so far, like I'm like so over Kirk so much, like I just want him gone no matter what. Like I am, but it's just, can you please do something about this after the year? It should have been done this last year.
100%.
And that's where it's like, I'm afraid that it's like, if he does stay, it's going to be the same thing, because if he didn't change this last year, what makes you think he's going to change going into next year? So
100%. We gave him a pass because we got new players. Well, we got new players, and I know our quarterback's injured, but that doesn't matter. He was doing bad before it. So no, I've already said there was zero excuses for Brian this year, and like I'm doubling down on that. Like and yeah, I agree with you. If Kirk's not willing to change, then we gotta figure something out, because you're exactly right. The future's coming quick, and it's gonna hit us smack dab in the forehead, and we're about to realize just how tough this conference really is. So yeah, no more like, Northwestern, Rutgers all the time, and I guess Northwestern and Illinois now. I guess like it's in the West. Like there's no more divisions, right? Is there still divisions next year?
No, there won't be divisions. That's why it's like all random, like who we're facing. Now we will play Minnesota, Nebraska,
like there's protected,
and Wisconsin every year. No, is it Wisconsin? Yeah, I think it's Wisconsin every year.
Yeah.
But other than that, like every year it's gonna be changed. It's gonna be different.
Yep.
I'll leave off with this. Like, can you imagine like this year? We already know what our defense is like. It's not as good as last year, but it's still really good. Special teams is pretty good. Can you imagine like if we just had just a decent offense, like just where you'd flip on the channel. Like if we stayed at home yesterday and we watched some of those games yesterday, just some of the random games that were going on, and we were just like that a little bit, how like dominating with this schedule, how dominating we would be.
Yep.
Or like last year, same thing. With how dominant our defense was.
It wasn't really an issue to get to like 30 or like high 20s. Like, could you imagine? Yeah, I know. It's a world with a average to above average offense. We said it for 3 years in this podcast now. So
I don't know if you knew this, but so Wyoming football, and this is very random, but Wyoming football, I think they're 5-1 now. They won yesterday 24-19. Their offensive coordinator, forgot what his name is, was the O-line coach for Iowa a couple years ago, and then he went on to Wyoming, and that's when so Brian.
I knew there was some connection.
Yeah, Brian became offensive coordinator in 2017, so he obviously was not O-line coach anymore. So we brought in this guy. I forgot what his name was. He was from North Dakota State, and then he was our O-line coach from like 2017 to like 2019, 2020, and then he went off to Wyoming. And it's like, I just love how like, we let that go.
We
Like,
let that
why
go.
didn't we possibly consider him to be? So it's just, I don't know. And this is all like, at the end of the day, like, Brian gets all this heat, and it's like, you could thank your dad for this, but at the same time, though, it's like you could have maybe just been the big boy and just been like, I'm done. Like I'm too in this, like this, but like this is all Kirk's fault. Like all this that has happened is all of Kirk's fault. So
Yeah, and you, as much as we love Kirk, I mean, listen, any way you look at it, it doesn't matter what, if it's just Iowa or not, like it always is going to fall on the head coach. Like they're the CEO of this operation, and they got to take responsibility and accountability. And it just seems like they're just like, I don't know. Seems like they're just allowed to get away with it. I know. I hate it. I hate it because we keep coming on here every week, and it's the same thing. And it's just, man, I agree. Like, could you imagine coming on here and being like, man, offense looked good today. We had a turnover, but besides that, man, they moved the ball down the field. We converted in the red zone, like just little stuff. We're not asking for 40 points a game here.
We just make offense just so difficult.
We get to the 5-yard line and I know. We snap over the head or bad snap or mishandled, whatever it is. Like it just,
we make everything so difficult, and it needs to be done. But well, that will do it for this episode. We'll be back on Thursday. We'll record Wednesday night talking the Wisconsin game. It's a big game. I mean, when you think about the division, and if we want to make it back to Indy, I guess like you gotta win this game. I think it's pretty obvious at this point that Wisconsin, outside of this game, like if let's say we did win, like they're not going to lose many more games. So that's why this game is so big.
I think this is the toughest game on both of, like, for us and Wisconsin, like on both of the schedules. And like, I agree.
I think Wisconsin still plays Ohio State at home.
Oh,
I'm almost positive they do. I would have to look at their schedule.
Okay. Then never mind, because Ohio State's a little bit better than Iowa. So
yeah, I want to see here. I'm almost positive.
That sounds right. Actually.
Yeah, they do.
Okay.
In 3 weeks they play.
Well, then this is Iowa's toughest game left for sure on the schedule. So
it is.
Yeah. And I think you mentioned it. It's like yesterday, was it yesterday at the tailgate or something? It's like Wisconsin doesn't seem like a team that is like, oh my God, it's impossible to go in there and win. It's just, I feel like with our style of football and the way we've been playing offensively, like, it almost seems like really hard. So we'll dive into it. We'll talk about it, but big game for sure.
Yep. Big game. So we'll be back in a couple days. Until then, have a good rest of your week, and we'll talk later, and go Hawks.